For those who just tuning in, as we kick off the show, I'm joined with UWF's Stan Sierra. Check him out, Georgetown, Kentucky, 150 Edwards Avenue, inside Georgetown Bingo Hall. And we're going to get into UWF in just a moment. But let's start off with your wrestling career. How did that came about?
Well, it's actually a pretty funny story. Me and my brother, Stevie P, were sitting at home, and then here in Somerset on the local, like, Channel 8 or whatever that does the weather and all that, they start running an ad saying, "Do you want to be a wrestler?" So we had always thought about it and talked about it, and always been fans since we was little kids. So we go up to the National Guard Armory. And there's probably, I don't know, 50, 60 people up there, and we get out in the parking lot, and these guys are going over, showing us some little simple things or whatever to see, if they're interested in doing any training. So they picked me and my brother and probably, I don't know, 20 people, and invited us to come train. So we started going to Whitesburg. And this is actually a true story. The training started in February, and it was me and Stevie P and another referee, a guy that wanted to train to be a ref, and a guy that wanted to train to be a manager. And we had a little old Datsun pickup truck, and this is in the middle of February. So me and Stevie P get stuck riding in the back of the truck from Somerset to Whitesburg in the middle of February to learn how to train.
Wow.
So we're there. So, naturally we freeze our butts off, and, we get over there in this little building, and like I say, all the other people that had showed up, and out of that whole bunch, me and Stevie P and the ref, believe it or not, we was the only three that stayed the course and toughed it out. So one thing led to another. We got our training in. We got an opportunity. The promoter basically gave us told us where the show was going to be and said, here's your opportunity. We're going to kind of leave the door open for you and give us a chance to make what we want of it. So me and Stevie P, we wanted to be the tag team. So we're at a show over in Hazard, Kentucky. And we're sitting out there in the crowd, and we actually come out of the crowd, come up to the ring, and literally had to fight for security to get through to the ring, because we'd already put it in our minds, we wanted to be, we was going to do whatever it took, break rules, do whatever, make anything to make an impact. So that was the way we decided we was going to do it. So we bust up in the ring and pull out a couple of paper bags and plastic bags and, make our mark. And, this is where it gets real funny is we get to the back and, here we are, green as green can be, don't know nothing about nothing. And we bust back in that locker room and, we think, real proud of ourselves, and we're hooping and hollering and cutting up and all this stuff. And sitting in the locker room is Killer Kyle, Dutch Mantel, Jimmy Valiant, and they just kind of stop and look at us like, who's these clowns? So that's kind of how we started right off the bat. Our second match into it, we got the tag team belt. Second match into the business. So, one thing leads to another, and we wind up down in Pell City, Alabama. And we go down there for a tag match, but at the end of the night, we wind up into like a 40-man weapons battle royal. And at the end of the night, it comes down, all the guys get thrown out of the ring. And Kenny, I have to say, I've really been lucky. I've been fortunate. It seems like I've been at the right place at the right time, and really a lot of luck. I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke up anybody's butt and try to say it's all skill. There's been a lot of luck involved in it. So I wind up in the ring at the end of the night, and I'm in the ring with a guy named Recon, who is Bull Buchanan, but back then he was Recon, and a guy named Billy Black. And so that, I was real fortunate. I got to work with those guys. Probably wasn't even 6 months into the business. So I go from that, come back and start wrestling again, and immediately I got thrown into a program with Killer Kyle, who's a ex-Smoky Mountain superstar. I go from that straight to working with Bo James, who I loved working with. Straight from Bo James to Tracy Smothers. One thing leads to another and that, and we wind up down in the Kingsport, Tennessee. And we're actually working for Bo James. He'd seen some potential in us and kind of took me and Stevie P under his wing and, taught us a lot of stuff and worked with us a lot. And we went down there and started working for him. Had a lot of success. Met a lot of good people. So then we come back here, and it's just been a roller coaster. We've been very fortunate. We've been at the right place at the right time. Got to wrestle, guys like Jimmy Valiant. Me and Stevie P wrestled Jimmy Valiant and the hometown boy Brian Overbay on Christmas in 1999 in Kingsport, Tennessee. And it's like, for me personally, I'm a little bit older. These are the guys that I grew up watching. And it's like, nothing against the young guys, because there's a lot of young guys that I like. But, I mean, for me personally, that's my dream, to wrestle guys like Jimmy Valiant and Tracy Smothers and Killer Kyle and, be around Dutch Mantell. And, that's guys I grew up on. So I've been very, very lucky up to this point.
You mentioned, your brother Stevie P, and I seen you both wrestle at UWF. I mean, and y'all obviously had a lot of matches with each other and against each other. I mean, how does it feel when you get a chance to work with your flesh and blood? Do you handle it a lot different from other people that you go in the ring with, or you just treat them like everybody else? I mean, does it kind of gets odd when you're in there attacking your brother and he's attacking you? Does that kind of catches y'all off guard at times?
Well, actually, we're probably more fierce with each other than we probably would be a stranger. It's just kind of worked out that way. Earlier in my career, I kind of took the fans for granted, and was pretty much a known rule breaker in the wrestling business. And the kind of roles was kind of reversed. Stevie was kind of the clean wrestler, and was big with the fans and stuff like that. And he had to line me out a time or two. So up at the UWF, I had took some time off, and then now I come back, and here Stevie is, and he's going down the path that I was doing. So, when the roles was kind of reversed, I had to come and line him out this time. But we're fierce. I mean, we're competitors, and, I'll compete against Stevie P just as hard as I would anybody, and he'll do me the same.
How did you first join UWF? How did that came about?
Well, honestly, it's with Stevie P. He had mentioned some stuff about me, coming back and getting back into wrestling, and been trying to nudge me back into it. And so I come up there at Georgetown, and I start watching. And, just how he was being kind of propelled me to come back a little more, to come back and try it again, because it's like, I really didn't like what I was seeing out of him. And one thing led to another, and, next thing I know, me and him's wrapped up in a pretty bitter feud there.
As I think about this, I do remember, Stevie P, he's around, and you was just on the outside looking in. Y'all two confronted each other, and y'all had quite a feud with each other in UWF, and it was fun. It was fun to watch. I mean, y'all two are very competitive, hard-working men out there, performing for the fans, and I feel like as a fan, I'm satisfied with what I see. I mean, now obviously y'all two are brothers, but y'all still go out there, perform, and give it 110%. So that's good to know. We go from one thing to another as it pertains to UWF. Nowadays, I see you formed a team with Big Dog Cujo, and y'all call yourselves Big and Sexy.
Yeah.
How did that came about?
Well, actually, I don't know if me and Cujo there for a while had kind of got something going. We'd had a couple of matches together, and they was pretty, tense. And Cujo took some time off there for a while, if you remember.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing led to another, and me and him started talking, and we started talking. Got Felony involved in it, and started talking to her, and thought, maybe we could work something out and, try running a tag team. He's a big guy. I'm a big guy. We could be a pretty powerful tag team if we put our minds to it. So we sit down and all talked about it and come up with the whole idea of seeing what we could do as partners.
For what I hear, this coming Sunday night at UWF, y'all two will be teaming up to take on a new team called Haters Incorporated, and I believe the winning team will be in line for the tag team gold. Talk about that match coming up this Sunday.
Well, Tom Wing, he had been out for a while, and see, this is kind of going to be new for me because me and Tom have never really. I don't know much about Tom Wing, and I've not really, I've not really been in the ring much with Tom Wing. Very, very little. When I first come to the UWF, Tom Wing was there for just, a little bit, and then, he left for a while. So I've not had very much interaction with Tom, so that's going to be kind of a mystery. But now Joey Palumbo, I go way back with Joey, all the way back to Manchester and Angel Mountain up on the hill, and probably 15 years ago. So I know a lot about Joey. So it's going to be, they're two big guys. I'm sure they're going to be physical, and I like being physical, and I know Cujo likes being physical. So it's probably going to be. I would say it wouldn't be the best. It won't be no classic wrestling match, but if you want to come watch a good beatdown, I would say you'll probably get all you want out of that match.
It definitely has Smash Mouth written all over it. I mean, the four of y'all definitely define that Smash Mouth style, being aggressive and not letting up on anybody. So Big and Sexy taking on Haters Incorporated this Sunday night at UWF, Georgetown, Kentucky, 150 Edwards Avenue. Go to their Facebook fan page for more info on the other matches that are scheduled to take place. What do you consider as the highlight of your wrestling career thus far?
The highlight of my wrestling career so far?
Yes, sir. It could be like a match. It could be an angle or it could be a moment with you and Stevie. What do you consider your favorite highlight of your career?
Well, I would have to say that this past summer down in Knoxville, Tennessee, me and the big dog, Cujo, we got to take on Bob Orton Jr. and Buff Bagwell in a tag team match. And that, as far as a tag team standpoint, that was probably one of the biggest thrills for me, and in my career, as far as from a tag team point of view. As for a personal point of view, for me personally, is in 1999, down in Kingsport, Tennessee, I was wrestling for Southern States Wrestling. And me and Stevie went in there, and I got a title shot at a man called the Iron Cross. He was the longest reigning champion in the company's history. And I went down there and beat him for that title. And that's probably, from a personal standpoint, that is probably just the moment that I felt the most proud of anything I've ever done, because that was a pretty big moment for me.
Other than UWF, do you have any other upcoming shows and matches you would like to promote?
Yes, sir. I've got November the 3rd, I'm going to be at the USWF at the Lincoln County High School at 7:30. November the 17th, I'm going to be at UCW in Hodgkinsville, Kentucky at the LaRue County Parks and Recreation Community Center, bell time 8 o'clock. Thanksgiving night, I'm going to be at High Rollers Entertainment in Oneida, Tennessee at the National Guard Armory, bell time 7:45. And I'm going to be, as far as I know right now, I'm going to be at the UWF in Georgetown every Sunday this month. And that's about all I got right now.
By any means necessary, go out and support your local indie wrestling show, ladies and gentlemen. As I said on many occasions, and I'm going to keep saying it, indie pro wrestling is the backbone of professional wrestling. Those are the men and women goes out there, give it all they got. They don't have the big audience or anything, but it gives you that old school feel, makes it feel like you're watching wrestling shows. It's definitely a must-see. Go out there and support your local indie wrestling shows out there, regardless of where you are, where you're from. And I'm joined with Stan Sierra right here on Triple Threat Wrestling Radio. You can check him out on Facebook under the name Stan Sierra. I guess my last question for you is there anyone out there that you haven't had a chance to work with, but you would like to work with someday? Who would that be?
On the indie circuit?
It could be indie, it could be pro, or whoever you prefer.
Well, if it could be anybody that I preferred, I would I'm a big guy, and I like big guys, of course. And I would have to say I would probably like to take on the Undertaker.
All right, Undertaker. It's amazing that this guy is at the late of his career, and even though you don't see him wrestle that much anymore, the last couple of matches he had has been a thrill to watch, and just to see how he's still able to move with some young guys out there. So, the Dead Man versus Stan Sierra. You know what they say in this wrestling business: never say never. But thank you, Stan. Great talking to you. Shout out to Stevie P. Shout out to UWF Felony and everyone out there. I'm a huge fan of UWF. Y'all do a fantastic job every Sunday night. Best of success goes out to you going forward. And again, thank you for being on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Kenny.
You have a good night, and I hope to see you at a future UWF show.
You bet.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
That was UWF's Stan Sierra joining me as we kick off Triple Threat Wrestling Radio.